Hey class, in this video I'm going to talk to you about seeing light and the different qualities of light. I'm going to break this down to two different types of light, a hard light versus a soft light. In this image here, this would be considered hard light on the subject matter versus something that has soft light. Take a look at these images and what do you see in terms of the differences on the subject matter? One key thing to note are the shadows. The quality of the shadows can tell you the type of light that you're looking at. So if you look at the image on the left, the black and white image, the shadows tend to be sharp and distinct versus the shadows on the right image tend to be very minimal, if not present at all, right? So let's kind of break this down. So the transition from light to shadow is very sharp and distinct, and that is seen by even on the subject's shoulder, where his face is, the shadow on his shoulder is very, very sharp. From light to dark, that transition is very abrupt. Even on his face, you see the right under his right eye, there is a shadow here that's being cast by his nose. The transition from light to dark is very, very abrupt. It's represented actually by even a line. So that tells you that this is considered hard light. The light source in this case is the sun, and it is a cloudless day. This is direct sunlight onto the subject. What produces hard light is a small light source that is in relationship to the subject matter. So for example, well, you may think the sun is really huge, but the distance between the sun and the subject matter, it's a very, very far distance. It is basically like a pin light. A source of light is really, really far away. So if you have a small light source and it's far away from your subject matter, it is going to create more of a hard light. Opposite of that is something called soft light. And this is the image we're looking at on a couple of slides ago. How soft light is determined in image is, again, you look at the quality of the shadows and look at the transition between light and dark. On her face, you don't really see a whole lot of distinct or sharp shadows. In fact, it's very, very minimal. It starts to get dark on camera right side here, but if you notice, that darkness is very, very gradual. There is not a very distinct line between light and darkness compared to what we saw in the black and white image. So this is an indicator of a soft quality of light. And in this case, the light source is a large window that is right next to the subject. So in order to create a soft lighting situation, the light source must be really large and relatively close to the window. Relatively close to the subject. In this case, the light source is window light, and that is a really, really large source of light. If you think about it, it can cover the entire body of the person. It's very possible. And if they're standing right next to that window, then it becomes a very, very soft light. So when I say window light, I don't mean sunlight going straight through the window. I'm talking about reflected light that's coming in through the window that's caused by the sun. There's a big difference, right? So again, it's reflected light that's coming into your window, and if you're standing right next to it or have your subject stand next to that window, it becomes a very, very soft quality of light, and you'll get very, very minimal shadows. So here's some examples again, and how you can find these types of light. Hard light, that's direct sun on a cloudless day. Or if you had your indoors, if you were to take your lampshade off and have just a bare bulb, that would actually cause a hard light situation. Very similar to like a flashlight. You would turn on the flashlight and you will see some hard, distinct shadows. Soft light, in order to produce that type of quality of light, you can be photographing on a cloudy or overcast day. So it isn't a bad thing to be out there with your camera on a cloudy day if you're taking portraits. It's actually a good day to be shooting because it's a softer quality of light with less or very minimal shadows. Or you can find this quality of light in the shade, or as I said, window light. So how does the time of day affect your light? Let's take a look at this example here. What time of day was this photo taken? Do you think it was taken at noon or early or late in the day? Let's take a look at what we see here. We see it's taken during normal daylight hours, and the sun is definitely out. It's not in the camera, but we definitely see a lit scene by the direct sun. So do you think it was taken, let's say, at noon or early late in the day? If you said noon, let me ask you this. If it's noon and the sun is out of frame, let's just say if it's noon, the sun will be straight up right above the frame here. And it would be shining light down onto the ground. If that was the case, if it was at noon, do you think we would see any of this texture, these shadows in any of these sort of sand dunes if the sun was directly above? We would not, because it is straight up in the sky, and we wouldn't get any of this sort of drama. In order for this shot to have taken place, in order for it to have to display this type of drama in the shadows, the sun had to be at a lower angle, not straight up. It would have to be either really early in the morning, or towards the end of the day. The sun is now lower at the horizon, and the sun will allow light to rake across this scene and give you a much more dramatic situation with the light and shadow. So the sun is definitely off of camera right, but lower towards the horizon, causing this drama. So you will have the top of this dune lit by the sun, but because the sun is at a lower angle, you will see the shadow here, and it also does it here with these patterns in the sand. So this is either super late in the day or really early in the morning, but it's definitely not noon. So take a look at this image. What do you think the light source is? Is this direct sun, or is this a cloudy day? If you guessed direct sun, then that is correct. And what made you say that? What were the clues about this? Well, if you look at this image, it looks like the sun is probably straight up noon, right? And it's hitting the subject's face and causing like this shadow straight down from her nose and from her chin onto her neck. Okay. So this is a hard light, and on a sunny day that is cloudless. What about this image? It's still a direct light. It's still direct sun. However, the time of day is different. And also, if you notice that the shadows, right? This is coming straight down from her face. This is off to the side. This will indicate that the sun is lower to the horizon. As you can see, even on the catchlight of the little girl's eyes, it is somewhere at an angle, and the sun is camera left, and it is hitting her face and causing this shadow of her nose. But notice the pattern of the shadow is not coming straight down like the image on the left. So you can use the sun to your advantage for shots. However, you want to make sure you find the right time of day to photograph in. Otherwise, you definitely want to avoid shooting at noon. I would say middle of the day, from I would make maybe like 11 or like 10 a.m. to like because we're winter now, so maybe from like 10 to like 2 or maybe even 3. And summertime, it'll extend even longer. You want to avoid that middle part of the day. You want to get the sun at a lower angle. And that's it.